Thank you for downloading the old podcastarola. Welcome to WrestleWorld. This is Larry Mormon, and I'm here today to not shed some... It's always my opinion. Everything I talk about here is always going to be my opinion. It's my show. I can talk about whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want. But we're going to talk about Battleground, WWE Battleground, which was just a couple days ago, this past Sunday, live on the WWE Network. And, of course, you can pull that up at any time on the WWE Network for a ridiculously low price of $9.99. People, if you've downloaded this podcast, you are either my mother or a fan of wrestling. And if you are not a subscriber to the WWE Network, I don't know why you even call yourself a fan. For $9.99, as opposed to paying $55 for a pay-per-view, even if, again, if you watch nothing else, just the pay-per-views. But in any event, one of them was Battleground. And the show from top to bottom, I liked it. You see, what happened was originally, we'll just cut straight to the chase. There was originally going to be a triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. Ryback defending against the Big Show and The Miz. Ryback injured, staph infection, so he couldn't defend the title. They did have a little promo, if you will, in-ring promo with The Miz and Big Show, but clearly wasn't anything like a match, especially lengthwise. So what that did was, instead of really adding a match, I guess they could have moved up the King of the Ring match from the preview to the main show. What they did was again, I don't know if this was intentional. They all the other matches went longer than what I feel should have been usual, and it was great. You know, watching these, the match didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like they were trying to get to the end for a time constraint. They let some of these guys go, and it showcased a lot of these guys, which should be the case. I mean, you know, not counting your Cenas, your Ortons, your Rollins, your Lesnars. There's a lot of guys on the roster that deserve to be showcased. The Cesaro, the primetime players, Kevin Owens, and I know some of these guys already are, but they're going to need their more time. And putting them out in matches, longer matches, even if it's like 10 minutes longer, it lets them feel out the crowd. It lets them feel out the energy, the atmosphere, and it adds to the story of the match. So I felt, personally, that these matches were dragged out a little bit longer for the better. Now, I'm not going to run, top to bottom, the card, the winners, the losers. You can definitely check that out for yourself. I don't want to spoil anything, but I will. Well, I guess I'm going to spoil stuff because I'm going to talk about a couple of matches, a couple of things that happened at Battleground, and if you're caught up with WWE, you know exactly where I'm heading. First, I'd like to discuss Kevin Owens and John Cena for the United States Championship. Now, just a few weeks ago on July 4th, Beast in the East live from Tokyo, Japan, Kevin Owens dropped the NXT Championship to Finn Balor. Now, walking into a United States Championship match, no longer Kevin Owens with the gold, with the NXT gold, it seemed like a surefire win for Kevin Owens and for the to win the United States Championship. Now, granted, Owens, formerly Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor and elsewhere, has been in the business for a long time. He's been in NXT for about 8 months. Almost a year. In September of last year. And he's been on the main roster for about 2 months or so, since Elimination Chamber. Does he deserve the United States Championship? Maybe not yet. some more time in the WWE, not in wrestling. He deserves the title, but he just walked into the WWE, so I should have thought about it beforehand, but I was expecting him to win the championship. But long story short, John Cena retained the United States Championship. But he, and now this is their third match. They had a match at Elimination Chamber, a match at Money in the Bank, and then a match here at Battleground. The first match was match of the year. Kevin Owens, for you John Cena haters, Kevin Owens brought out the best in John Cena at Elimination Chamber. Kevin Owens brought out beyond the best of John Cena at Money in the Bank. Those two matches, whether you love or you hate John Cena, you have to give Cena credit. Those two matches, legit candidates of matches of the year. And Cena really brought his A game. A lot of times, the 5 moves of doom, but Cena really brought out the best in himself. Now, this third match, all right, I'm going to be real. Maybe not the best of the 3, but definitely still a wonderful match. It's still a great match to watch. But it ended with a submission victory, which for Kevin Owens to tap out, I think that may have been a bad move. He tapped out to Cena's STF. First of all, the two of them were kicking out of their finishers left and right, which bugs me a little bit. Finishers are just that. They're finishers. They're meant to finish the match. You don't use it as an everyday move. I mean, the DDT has been regulated to an everyday move. When back in the day, Jake the Snake hit you with a DDT, that was it. Lights out. Game over. You lost. But here, that must have been about 3 RKOs. Not RKOs, what am I talking about? 3 AAs, a pop-up powerbomb, and they're kicking out left and right, which, look, I'm not saying never kick out, but, save that for a Mania match when you're, 25 minutes into the match. I mean, case in point, WrestleMania 25, Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. They hit Sweet Chin Music, they hit Tombstones, Last Rides. Not often, but the way... Now, the two of them are tremendous storytellers, so I guess they're the exceptions, because their false finishes had me on the edge of my seat the entire time at Reliant Stadium. But back at Battleground, as soon as Cena locked in... Not the first time, maybe the second or third time. When he locked in the STF, the way... It's kind of almost like Kevin Owens... the way he tapped out was so gingerly. Almost seemed like he wasn't trying to tap. Maybe they're going to go another direction and say, I wasn't tapping, I was trying to reach or something. Now, for no other reason than just I was tired, not because of the show. I just couldn't do it. I missed the main event of Raw. I actually clonked out. Nothing to do with Raw. I was just beat. I can't stay up anymore for these late shows. I was already up late the night before watching Battleground. But I think to make Kevin Owens tap, but I guess what's the difference between tapping and pinning? But you're never going to see John Cena tap out. And the way Kevin Owens was dominating as a heel, I think maybe he shouldn't have tapped out either. But I'm not the one calling the shots. Will they have one more match? I'm not sure. Will they have a match at SummerSlam? Probably not, because they've already done their 3 matches. The one thing I'm worried about is if Cena's going to be booked in the main event of SummerSlam in the WWE Championship match. Because Cena came out, Seth Rollins, the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, was cutting a promo on Raw in the ring, and then Cena came out. Now, not necessarily, they really didn't challenge each other, but Cena called out Rollins on the type of champion that he is. I guess maybe because of last year's just annihilation of John Cena at SummerSlam at the hands of Brock Lesnar. Maybe they want a little bit of retribution for Cena at SummerSlam. I don't mind John Cena Doesn't bother me that he's in the spotlight. You know, he's the Hulk Hogan of our times. He's the Bruno Sammartino of our times, depending on how old you are when you're watching this, listening to this. I would prefer not to have John Cena, especially if he's the U.S. champion. I prefer to him not challenging for the title. But we're 5 weeks away, 4.5 weeks away, just about, from SummerSlam, which is going to be live at the Barclays Center, Sunday night, August 23rd, on the WWE Network. And I sure as heck got my tickets, so... But, you know, I said main event for the WWE title at SummerSlam. That's not really going to be the main event, because the main event at Battleground was Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. Brock Lesnar hit the F5 on Seth Rollins. 1, 2... Uh-oh. Yes. There's a reason. You hear that. The lights go out. The crowd getting on the edge of their feet, the edge of their seats. The return of the dead man. That's right. The Undertaker made his return at WWE Battleground. And he locked eyes on the man that ended his streak at WrestleMania. That's right. The Beast Incarnate, Brock Lesnar. And Undertaker laid to waste Brock Lesnar. 2 Tombstone Pile Drivers. And The Undertaker is back in the WWE. Undertaker opened up Raw the next night, pretty much calling out calling out Brock Lesnar. No one really challenged anyone, but Triple H took it on himself to make it official that at SummerSlam, it will be The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar Part 2. A match a year and 5 months in the making. Okay, have the rematch at SummerSlam. But the streak ended at WrestleMania. And since then, Undertaker fought again at WrestleMania. I don't know if they're going to be... Are we just ignoring the fact that Undertaker took on Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 31? I mean, that was a bit of a redemption for The Undertaker, because he looked like hell at WrestleMania 30. And he looked healthy at WrestleMania 31. He looked in best shape I've seen him in a few years. Last night on Raw and 2 nights ago at Battleground. But in my opinion, beating Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam is good. But if The Undertaker wanted redemption, they should have did this match either WrestleMania 31 or save it for WrestleMania 32. Now, I have my thoughts and opinions about WrestleMania 32, which I'll get into at another time. But as we speak right now, the only match signed for SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar and Undertaker at SummerSlam. Is it going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair? Probably will, because on Raw, they beat the living heck out of each other, and it took the whole roster to try and separate them, and it went through about a segment and a half of these two just tearing each other apart. I think SummerSlam is now... I mean, look, I'm excited. Not too many people I know... I mean, I was at WrestleMania 30. I was at the Superdome. I was in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I was there when I saw the streak come to an end. Now, I know a few people who are actually there who saw the streak come to an end, and only half those people I know, myself included, are going to see the rematch. That part's kind of cool. Not often you may be able to see that because, you know, how often do you travel for shows like this? Me, I do. So it's cool that I'm going to be able to see the rematch at the same time I saw the original. Who's going to win? I got to say Undertaker. It only makes sense. Will it be the closing match of the evening? I'm pretty sure it should be. But we'll have to see what the rest of the card is going to look like, especially who's going to be the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's the only way really to ultimately determine how SummerSlam is going to turn out. And that weekend is packed. Don't forget, Sunday, August 21st, from the Barclays Center is NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which will have Jushin Thunder Liger from New Japan Pro Wrestling will be at NXT TakeOver. And I'll have my thoughts on that next week. See you all later.